The Nebraska Cornhuskers just got an avalanche. Yes, avalanche of good news. Let's talk about it. My name is Aaron with my buddy Paul. We are the Big Ten guys on the daily, even when my team loses. As you can see up there, we're still pushing out content, so don't miss out. All you got to do is subscribe, hit the notification bell, and hit the like button, Nebraska fans. What's there not to like? 4-1, first Big Ten win, a lot of good things, and a lot of good things coming. Let's talk about it. First and foremost, big win against the Spartans. If anyone watches this channel knows, I'm a Michigan State fan. It was hard to watch. Michigan State continuously took the gun, shot it right in their foot, and it just, in Nebraska, took advantage of every single opportunity. And I'm not saying it was the sexiest win for Nebraska, but what we need to talk about is this: the good news on multiple fronts. First and foremost, big win against a scrappy Michigan State team. That's first. Second, and I think a lot of things that Nebraska fans aren't necessarily talking about at the moment, is Nebraska started really good and finished really good. That middle ground we're going to jump into wasn't ideal. Was not ideal. Michigan State had several opportunities. As I said, Aiden Childs, whether you want to say it was from his injury or what, I would tell you it was the offensive line played like absolute dog water. Nebraska's did too, but that's beside the point. No one wanted to come and play good offensive line ball. No one wanted to win in the trenches against the defensive line, but that's beside the point. That was really good for Nebraska. Starting the game off hot, finishing it off hot, but they need to play a full game. Regardless, they still get the win. We'll talk about that more in detail shortly. As well, you see other things as we look at the box score. Emmett Johnson, absolute dog. I will continue to say this, and I was telling my Michigan State friends, listen, Emmett Johnson has a ton of potential, and he has shown that this season. Coming in, and I think he's making him a name for himself in the Big Ten. He's fun to watch. He's the type of guy, once he gets the ball, he literally just explodes through the hole. Boom, he's gone. He's hard to stop. He's hard to stop. There's a reason he scored 3 touchdowns. He's fun to watch. Not when you're playing him. not when it's your team. Not when it's your team playing them. But it's it is what it is. As well, on the Nebraska side, Ja'Cory Barney. I've said this a ton. I know you guys have said this a ton and agreed with me in the comments. The man is an athlete. He is fun to watch. Sophomore, that punt return that he had that was called back for a holding. Oh my gosh! It reminded me of 2021. Last time I said 2001, but 2021 when Jaden Reed returned the punt against Nebraska, ended up tying it, sent it in overtime. I was in that end zone when he scored. I saw the whole setup. It was beautiful. I know not from your guys' aspect because Nebraska lost. And again, they went, 3-9 that season. And I'll always say that was the best 3-9 team I've ever seen in my life. They were unreal. But on top of that, Nebraska closes out in a close game. You look at the score, in the fourth quarter, Nebraska pulled away. Nebraska played, I would tell you, solid football. They should have won 38-21. That's what it should have been. And Michigan State went in there and was like, okay, we're gonna go score again. And they did, but it should have been 38-21. So again, being able to close out games, also huge for them. Hunter, big score on that 59-yard touchdown pass up the sideline. Michigan State just could not answer. Michigan State secondary is troubling for me to watch. I will tell you that. Defensively, troubling. If you would look at Raiola stats, only 194 passing yards, touchdown, interception. I would tell you this. The offensive line, if they can hold their ground and they can play well, this offense can be incredibly dangerous. But that offensive line needs to be better. They need to figure some things out. And I think, again, Michigan State went in there with a solid rush defense. Secondary, not ideal, but it's not ideal when Raiola's running around all the time out of the pocket. So I think things will, and as we look down the schedule, there's some good things we can talk about as well continuously for the Cornhuskers, but that needs to be something that gets better over time if Nebraska is going to truly make this push at the Big Ten in at the playoff, which I think they can. Defensively, especially in the fourth, they really held their own. Really ton of pressure on Childs. Ton of pressure consistently on Childs. And obviously there was a handful of times he kind of got away. But when it comes down to it, they ended up having 4 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, which was huge. A lot of pressures. Childs was running around. There was a lot of improv from Aiden Childs. And I'm sure you'd agree with me. The man's an athlete. I love watching him. But again, shot himself in the foot multiple times. As a Spartan fan, it was tough to watch, both on the defensive side of the ball and offensive side of the ball. But this is probably what it felt like to be Nebraska in 2021, when it was like, we have a great defense and our offense has potential, but gosh, we can't do a thing. We can't finish a game. We can't win a game. And so you look at that, solid. Now we look at what I was talking about when we look at the first quarter. Look at this, 2 3-and-outs, and then they score a touchdown, solid drive. That's a great first quarter. Then we get into the second quarter, it gets kind of messy for the Cornhuskers, where they literally, every single one, they're either down on downs, they turn it over on downs that one time, or they punt it every time. This is where, and even in that, Michigan State threw 2 just, awful interceptions. By Childs. The one where he kind of lofted over Tullis, and he should have caught that. And then the other one, he just threw it to the secondary. It was rough. And again, a lot of Michigan State fans are making the excuse, well, he was hurt, he was here. He's the one who's out there, And again, I'm not saying like he's awful. I don't think he's awful. As I said, he's a great athlete. When he's at the top of his game, he is so fun to watch. I always tell people he reminds me a lot of like a Terrell Pryor, especially when he runs. He's running super fast, but he's so long it doesn't necessarily look like it. And then he can pass the ball. And when he's on throwing, if you watch the Boston College game, it is fun. He's fun to watch. Ton of fun. So you look at this, just a rough second quarter. We jump into the third. As well, rough. Michigan State ends up taking the lead. Raiola throws that interception, and Michigan State has 2 solid drives against the Cornhuskers, and then the Cornhuskers end up tying. End up tying the game at the end of the third, and then in the fourth, that's where my fault. Golly, bless me. Gee whiz. In the fourth, Nebraska takes the lead, and they run away with it. Again, look at Michigan State's drives, 3 and out, 4 plays, touchdown by the Spartans at the end. Again, in, I would tell you, garbage time. Nebraska knew they had the win. They knew they had the win there. So again, solid win. That's great news for the Cornhuskers. Then we look at, they start the game great, they end the game great, but they need to bring that all together. Emmett Johnson, awesome game, putting his name on the mark continuously for the Cornhuskers. And defensively, a lot of great drives for the defense. So a lot of things to be excited for. As well. We look over here, Michigan State just atrocious third down, 2 of 14. I'm not going to tell you 5 of 13's much better, but it is what it is. Fourth down, Michigan State was 4 of 5. The last one was the one where they literally got sacked, 4 times in a row? Or was it 3 times in a row? I can't remember. It was just like every time it was just gut-wrenching to watch. And then Michigan State, Nebraska won the turnover battle. Again, it might not have been the sexiest win at all throughout the whole game for the Cornhuskers, but they grinded out. They got the win. They fought through adversity and still got the W. And that's what they need to do. Nebraska of old, handful of years ago, or the past handful of years, they lose this game. Just telling the truth. So what do you think about this game? Nebraska, Michigan State, sorry, my allergies are killing me. Throw one up for my allergies, golly. What do you think about the game? What are your thoughts, especially with Nebraska moving forward? Now, some other good news that we haven't even talked about. The Bearcats upsetting number 14 Iowa State Cyclones. Huge win. And the reason being is because a lot of people said, Listen, this game against Nebraska in Kansas City, like Cincinnati's not great. Cincinnati's not great. Listen, Cincinnati now stands at the top of the Big 12, 2-0, and then look at their schedule moving forward. UCF, a very winnable game against, I'm not going to say their coach's name, but you know who it is. Oklahoma State, trash. Baylor, not good. And Utah, Arizona, BYU, TCU, yeah, all solid teams. But Cincinnati, that is more and more looking like a very, very good win for the Cornhuskers. So that on top of beating Michigan State, on top of seeing a lot of good things out of that game, Cincinnati wins. You want the teams you play, you want them to continue to win because that only makes you look better. So if Cincinnati goes on a run in the Big 12, that'd be huge for the Cornhuskers. A lot of people say, hey, let's not forget, Nebraska won this game. So it looks better and better as we move forward for the Cornhuskers as Cincinnati wins. So comment below. Tell me what you think about that. Tell me what you think about the game. I'm gonna be honest with you. It wasn't crazy fun making this video because I'm a Michigan State fan. But again, I always come at it from an unbiased opinion. Paul does as well, even though he's a Michigan fan. Penn State, the big question is this: do we kick the Penn State out of the Big Ten because they lost to UCLA? And I already kicked UCLA out of the Big Ten. Just rough, just crazy. And I'll tell you this too: we jump into that schedule. We jump into the schedule of Nebraska before we go. I'll show you this. I think you look at it, Maryland, a lot of people are like, give Maryland the respect they deserve. No. Once they beat someone noteworthy, sure. But no, not at the given point. So Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern, all should be winnable games for the Cornhuskers. Then they play USC. That's going to be a tough one. UCLA, I still don't think is good. I think they just happened to Penn State was like, we're not even going to spy on Nico, and we're just going to let him score every touchdown. Penn State went like it's not crazy to say Nebraska has the opportunity to win out. It is not. It's not. So comment below. Tell me what you think. Would love to hear from you. Cornhusker Nation, you guys are always great to us. We'll talk later. Hit the sub button on the way out if you haven't. Peace.